10 African leaders making the world powers scared. Throughout history, Africa has been a continent that has faced numerous challenges, including the influence and dominance of various world powers. However, despite these obstacles, there have been African leaders who have fearlessly stood up to these powers, advocating for the rights, interests, and sovereignty of their nations. These leaders have demonstrated exceptional courage and determination in asserting their independence and challenging the status quo. Their actions have not only reshaped the political landscape of their respective countries, but have also inspired a sense of empowerment and resilience across the continent. In this video, we will explore the remarkable stories of African leaders who have boldly confronted world powers, leaving a lasting impact on their nations and the world at large. From standing up against colonialism to challenging economic exploitation, these leaders have left an indelible mark on Africa's history and continue to inspire generations to come. But before we dive into the list, take a few seconds and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our videos. 10. Paul Kagame, President of Rwanda. Paul Kagame, the President of Rwanda, has demonstrated a willingness to assert Rwanda's independence and challenge Western influence in various ways. One aspect of Kagame's approach is his unwavering commitment to Rwanda's sovereignty. He has made it clear that Rwanda will determine its own path and make decisions based on its national interests, even if they diverge from Western expectations. Economically, Kagame has pursued policies aimed at reducing Rwanda's dependence on foreign aid and promoting self-reliance. He has emphasized the importance of domestic innovation and entrepreneurship, investing in key sectors to foster economic growth. By prioritizing Rwanda's own development agenda, Kagame has sought to diminish Western influence in shaping the country's economic trajectory. Kagame has also played an active role in regional affairs, challenging Western dominance in the Great Lakes region of Africa. He has advocated for African solutions to African problems, working towards regional integration and cooperation, involvement in peacekeeping efforts, and his push for a more assertive African voice in regional dynamics aim to reduce the West's influence and promote African agency. Moreover, Kagame has not been hesitant to voice his criticisms of Western policies. He has highlighted double standards in international relations, calling for fair treatment and equal partnerships between Africa and the West. By critiquing what he perceives as Western interference or the imposition of external values, Kagame has sought to challenge the narrative of Western dominance and promote a more balanced relationship. 9. William Ruto, President of Kenya. William Ruto has been the President of Kenya since September 2022, and since assuming office, he has shown no mercy to Western powers, especially Western leaders that are constantly interfering in the affairs of Africa. President Ruto has called for a united Africa, where Africa can have influence on the international stage. On several occasions, he has criticized Western interference in African affairs and has called on more African leaders to speak up against neo-colonialism instead of taking pictures when they meet for international conferences and events. When he took power, he said it was not going to be business as usual when it comes to dealings with the West because Africa has everything and deserves more. President Ruto has no plans of slowing down anytime soon. 8. Professor P.L.O. Lumumba, renowned lawyer and Pan-Africanist. P.L.O. Lumumba, a renowned Kenyan lawyer and speaker, has been known for his thought-provoking speeches and passionate advocacy for African self-determination and development. While Lumumba's focus has primarily been on promoting African unity and governance, he has occasionally expressed criticisms of Western powers and their historical and contemporary influence in Africa. Lumumba has been vocal about the negative impact of colonialism and its lasting effects on the African continent. He has highlighted the need for Africans to reclaim their history, culture, and resources from the legacy of colonial exploitation. Lumumba often emphasizes the importance of African agency and self-reliance in shaping the continent's future. In his speeches and public engagements, Lumumba has criticized neo-colonialism and the continued economic exploitation of Africa by Western powers. He has called for fair trade, equitable partnerships, and the establishment of a more balanced global order that recognizes the rights and interests of African nations. However, it is important to note that Lumumba's influence primarily stems from his intellectual contributions and his ability to inspire Africans to take charge of their destiny. While he may critique Western policies and interventions, his approach is more focused on empowering Africans rather than directly confronting the West. 7. Julius Malema, freedom fighter. Julius Malema, the leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, in South Africa, has been known for his outspoken and confrontational style, often challenging the influence of the West and advocating for radical socio-economic transformation. While his stance on the West has evolved over time, Malema has taken positions that can be seen as standing up against Western powers in certain contexts. Malema has frequently criticized the legacy of colonialism and apartheid, highlighting the deep-rooted economic disparities and social injustices that persist in South Africa. He has called for the nationalization of key industries and the redistribution of wealth to address historical injustices. Malema's economic agenda seeks to challenge the structures that perpetuate Western dominance and economic inequality in South Africa. Furthermore, Malema has expressed skepticism towards Western interventions on the African continent, particularly when he perceives them as serving Western interests or interfering with African sovereignty. He has criticized Western powers for their involvement in conflicts and their economic exploitation of African resources. However, it is important to note that Malema's views on the West are complex, and he has shown a willingness to engage with international actors when he believes it aligns with the interests of the South African people. He has also emphasized the importance of regional unity and solidarity among African nations. 6. Felix Tshisekedi, President of the DRC. Felix Tshisekedi, the President of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, has pursued a diplomatic approach that seeks to strengthen ties with Western countries, while also asserting the DRC's national interests. While Tshisekedi has not been widely recognized for overtly standing up against the West, he has taken steps to navigate international relationships and advance the interests. Tshisekedi has actively engaged with Western powers, seeking foreign investment and support for the DRC's development agenda. He has emphasized the importance of economic cooperation and attracting international investment to promote growth and stability in the country. Tshisekedi has also sought assistance from Western countries in addressing issues such as security, governance, and human rights. At the same time, Tshisekedi has emphasized the need for a more balanced and mutually beneficial relationship between the DRC and the West. He has called for fair trade and investment practices that benefit the Congolese people, highlighting the historical exploitation of the DRC's natural resources by Western powers. Tshisekedi has also expressed the desire to assert the DRC's sovereignty and reduce dependency on external actors. He has advocated for African solutions to African problems and has called for increased regional integration and cooperation. 5. Youweri Museveni, President of Uganda. Youweri Museveni, the President of Uganda since 1986, has had a complex and evolving relationship with the West. While initially receiving support from Western countries, including military aid, Museveni has taken positions and actions that can be seen as standing up against the West in certain contexts. Museveni has been critical of what he perceives as Western interference in African affairs. He has called for African countries to assert their sovereignty and resist external pressures in shaping their political, economic, and social systems. Museveni has criticized Western policies and interventions, particularly when he believes they undermine Uganda's national interests or go against his vision of governance. Moreover, Museveni has expressed skepticism towards international development assistance, and has emphasized the need for self-reliance and domestic-driven development. He has advocated for policies that prioritize Ugandan interests and the development of local industries. Furthermore, Museveni has taken positions on global issues that diverge from Western perspectives. For example, he has been critical of certain Western stances on issues such as LGBT rights and has defended Ugandan cultural values and traditions. However, it is important to note that Museveni's relationship with the West is multifaceted. Uganda has maintained diplomatic ties and received substantial foreign assistance from Western countries. Museveni has also engaged in international forums and partnerships, seeking investment and cooperation. 4. Ibrahim Traore, President of Burkina Faso. He became the world's youngest head of state in September when he and other junior military officers ousted Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Damiba, who had also ascended to the presidency through a coup in January. Justifying why they were removing Damiba from office, Traore said in a televised address on October 1, 2022 that the embattled head of state had failed to tackle the perennial problem of insurgency. Shortly after staging a coup against Damiba's administration in September 2022, Traore acknowledged that his age 34 would be a subject of discussion among those questioning his presidential credentials. "I know that I am younger than most of you here. We did not want what happened, but we did not have a choice," he told government officials in October 2022. The international shine on him appeared to have faded until July 2023, when he accompanied 16 other African heads of state to St. Petersburg in Russia for a meeting with President Vladimir Putin, who had organized the Russia-Africa Summit. He went ahead to blast African presidents who were happy to receive freebies. On July 27, President Vladimir Putin announced that free grain would be shipped to Africa. This is pleasing, and we say thank you for this. However, this is also a message to our African heads of state. At the next forum, we must not come here without having ensured the self-sufficiency of the food supply for our people. We must learn from the experience of those who have succeeded in achieving this, Traore said. His remarks were likened to those made in the early 1980s by the revered Thomas Sankara, who, just like Traore, ascended to the Burkina Faso's presidency through a coup. Though still very new, Traore has already started making Western powers understand he is no nonsense leader. 3. Assimi Goita, Interim President of Mali. Assimi Goita is the interim president of Mali. He rose to prominence in August 2020 when he led a military coup that ousted President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta. While it is important to note that the political landscape can evolve rapidly, Goita's actions and statements up until that point demonstrated a complex relationship with the West. Following the coup, Western countries, including the United States and France, expressed concerns and condemned the military takeover, calling for a return to civilian rule. Goita's actions were viewed as a setback for democratic governance, and the West urged a peaceful transition of power. However, Goita's subsequent actions indicated a willingness to engage with the international community. He promised to establish a transitional government and organize elections within a reasonable timeframe. Goita also expressed a commitment to combating terrorism in the Sahel region, an issue of significant concern for Western powers. It is worth noting that the West has been a key partner for Mali in terms of security cooperation, development assistance, and peacekeeping efforts. While Goita's actions may have strained relations initially, his subsequent engagement with the international community suggested a desire to maintain some level of cooperation with Western countries. However, Goita has repeatedly asked the West to stay off the affairs of Mali and has supported a wave of coup that has taken over most West African nations. He is one no-nonsense leader who makes the West scared anytime he talks. 2. Naledi Pandor, South Africa Diplomate. Naledi Pandor is a prominent South African politician and diplomat who has held various high-level positions within the South African government. Pandor has served as the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of South Africa since 2019. In this role, she has been responsible for managing and promoting South Africa's foreign policy objectives and engagements with other countries, including Western nations. Her focus has been on fostering bilateral relations, promoting trade and investment, and advocating for South Africa's national interests on the global stage. While Pandor may have expressed criticisms or disagreements with certain Western policies or actions as part of her diplomatic duties, her primary approach has been to engage in constructive dialogue and seek areas of cooperation. Like many government officials, she has emphasized the importance of mutually beneficial relationships and partnerships for the advancement of South Africa's socio-economic objectives. It is important to note that political dynamics and positions can evolve over time, and there may have been developments since my knowledge cut off. To obtain a comprehensive understanding of Pandor's current stance towards the West, it is advisable to refer to more recent sources or developments. 1. Nana Akufo-Addo, President of Ghana. Nana Akufo-Addo, the President of Ghana since 2017, has maintained a diplomatic approach in his relationship with the West. While he has sought to strengthen ties with Western countries, he has also emphasized the need for mutually beneficial partnerships and advocated for African self-reliance and development. Akufo-Addo has actively engaged with Western powers, promoting Ghana as an attractive investment destination and seeking foreign assistance for development projects. He has emphasized the importance of trade and economic cooperation, encouraging Western countries to increase investments in Ghana and support the country's industrialization agenda. At the same time, Akufo-Addo has consistently advocated for African agency and self-determination. It has called for a departure from aid dependency and has emphasized the need for African countries to rely on their own resources and capacities for development. Akufo-Addo has championed initiatives such as the African Continental Free Trade Area, which aims to boost intra-African trade and reduce reliance on Western markets. Furthermore, Akufo-Addo has been an advocate for good governance, democracy, and human rights. While not directly standing up against the West, he has called for fair and equitable partnerships that respect the sovereignty and interests of African nations. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in our next video.